street go.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mayegun don come. Oh yeah, yeah.
This one not dey off in mind.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mayegun don come. Oh yeah, yeah.
Person wey dey do evil no wan make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too dey talk. He too dey talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day dem dey thief money in bulk. Poor man pikin dey the street dey hawk. Still dem talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mayegun don come. Oh yeah, yeah.
My people make you shout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are watching from. Please share this broadcast, okay? Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Mayegun today as well. Read the caption of the broadcast. Read the description of the broadcast. Afterward, you can relax and enjoy.
Wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Mayegun diary politico.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹ́kọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Àní Mayegun là.
Buhari has granted his first interview. I've got some clip from that for you tonight. Yes?
Àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
Mayegun ti dé.
Don't ask me about 2027. Nigeria is collapsing. Nigeria needs saving. Peter Obi tonight.
Lórí Facebook,
Mayegun ti dé.
àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
What is really going on? Gongon Sef? Are we your slaves? Ni? One Labour Party senator challenged Akpabiole today.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Mayegun mami.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
Mayegun ti dé.
President
Obasanjo didn't write letter this time around. Okay? He spoke out. The democracy, Western democracy that is given to Africa has failed Africans. I've been Africans failed democracy tonight. You had your chance and you missed it. You could have returned Nigeria back to parliamentary system of government. Guess who? APC. Egbekegbe, right there from Tinubu's presidency. That's their response to Obasanjo.
Mayegun ti dé.
ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í.
Mayegun ti dé.
Mayegun ti dé.
Today. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live. So if you have shared the broadcast, liked the broadcast, even subscribed as usual, I hope you have also read the caption, the description as all the normal starting rituals, right? Well done. Now we're going to start with Obasanjo's, where Obasanjo was speaking at a public forum, where he lamented about the failed and collapsed democracy in Nigeria. I want you to listen, if you don't mind.
In short, we have a system of government in which we have no hands to define and design, and we continue with it, even when we know that it is not working for us. Those who brought it to us are now questioning the rightness of their invention, its deliverability, and its relevance today without before. The essence of any system of government is the welfare and the well-being of the people, all the people. Here, we must interrogate performance of democracy in the West where it originated from, and with all the inhibition of what we are left with over by the colonial power. Einstein said that it will amount to height of folly to continue to do the same thing that had not worked and expect different results. And that is the situation we find ourselves. We are here to stop being foolish and stupid. Can we look inward and outward to see what in our history, our culture, our tradition, our practice, our living experience over the years that we can learn from, adapt and adopt with practices everywhere for a changed system of government that will serve our purpose better and deliver. Can we? I believe.
Who is he asking? Obasanjo is lamenting over the failed democratic system in Nigeria. But this is the same Obasanjo that had the golden opportunity twice to prevent what this generation and the generation before us and the one that is before them, to prevent them from witnessing this nightmare. First, as a military head of state. Second, as a civilian president. At a point, he constituted a national conference called the Confab, a national confab, for Nigerians to come together and discuss the union and how they believe the union, which is the Nigeria, should be governed. He is talking about using our culture, our tradition, this and that. Democracy is defined as the creation of a sovereignty that is from the people, by the people, and therefore exists purposely for the people. That's the definition of that democratic act, where people have to decide and choose. Do you get that now? So the moment you take that out, you no longer have democracy. You can give it all kind of names. So people came together in 2004 or 2005. When was it again? When they called the confab. And because he couldn't smuggle his third term agenda in. And what was the third term, his third term agenda of Obasanjo? He was going on his second term of 4 years, of 8 years. And he believed that the conference, if the conference comes out with resolutions of how they believe they can all of us can coexist together if they don't want to break up Nigeria. So Obasanjo now put it in there in that constitution that single term of 6 years for anybody that is going to become president, for the position of presidency in Nigeria. And Obasanjo, can also run if that proposition is approved by the National Assembly. The constitution is amended to fit in every other thing, like resource control, you know what I mean, like a state police, like so many things they have been flunging on your faces many times whenever election is coming like that. They are not new, they have been there. Most of these things that you see politicians use in their campaigns, they pick some of those talking points from all those confab, national conference. They had no intention of using any of them. But for the first time, they were able to put all of that together, but the conference voted down on a single term for president. And they said if they have to include it, definitely anyone who has been president before or the incumbent, they will not qualify under that new constitution. So Obasanjo received the proposition, all of that, and he just buried it. Jonathan tried the same thing in 2014. I don't know if some of you still remember. Then he now used it to campaign in 2014 or thereabouts, when Jonathan called his own conference. Everybody come together, let us discuss Nigeria. We know all these problems exist. We know all these divisions exist, and we know why they exist. Okay, come together, let's discuss. So when they came together and they discussed that, okay, yeah, we need this, we want this, we want, this, you know what I mean? Like everything everyone is usually talking about here, right? So they said, okay, Jonathan now collected the report and now said he's going to work on it after his after election, which means after he wins his own second term. Then he will come back and he will act on that report. He never came back. Buhari never opened it for once. And Nigeria degenerated worse and worse to what it is today. And that is what Tinubu and gang just told Obasanjo. Obasanjo is now sort of sad that the democracy in Nigeria is no longer about the people, for the people, by the people anymore. It is by the gangs, the courts, and the, you know, all of the institutions of government that have completely been compromised, including the courts. Obasanjo is worried that Nigeria democracy has gotten to a stage that 3 people can just remove a governor based on anything, instead of them to say, okay, if this infraction has been discovered, then they should take it back to the people. Let people go and decide. But this person should not be part of it, or should be, you know, that kind of a thing. No, 3 people can just cancel the election and give the result to another person. So Obasanjo is worried. Meanwhile, he hasn't seen anything yet. You know, sometimes people like them should live long enough to see the ruins and the rot that they spent every day of their life to keep together, which is Nigeria. If they have any art at all at old age where you just feel like, because that's what happened to them. Tinubu said Obasanjo had the chance of returning Nigeria to parliamentary system of government of 1963 in 1976. Nigeria was practicing parliamentary system of government. And back then, truly, people actually had the power. You get what I mean? And they delivered. That was the time that people actually felt like they had a government of their own after colonialism. But the military coup that truncated that. Obasanjo, who became the head of state in 76 after the death of Muritala. So what happened? He had the chance of just returning Nigeria back there. No, he maintained the status quo created for God knows the reason why. Now, in his own old age, he had another chance when he became a civilian president, probably to follow the confab he put together. Maybe Nigeria won't be having all these mad people, drug dealers, and all these criminals as powerful people who are making laws and who are also ruling in Nigeria today. But Obasanjo didn't, for his own selfish reason. Now he has no power to change anything anymore. He has no power to influence anything anymore. Okay? So he's now lamenting. Just like me and you would lament. Why can't they do that? Why didn't they do that? How could they forget to do, that stuff? Why is it so difficult to do electricity? Why is it so difficult to build this? All that. So Obasanjo has also joined now to start asking. He's now asking the people who have already crookedly taken over power. And they can do whatever they like with it, because that's exactly what Obasanjo also did. He did fuck all with it. Anyway, he's here lamenting like all of us right now anyway. So, same as, well, maybe not as Buhari, but we'll come back to that of Buhari. Let me take you to Peter, where he granted his own sort of communicate, like a brunch with the media. I have no idea what the whole event was all about, but it wasn't like you called a press conference of anything per se. It seems like a media party. Like, okay, I'm going to be at the Labour Party office. And yeah, if you have any question for me, you can come around. And from all he said today, I want to share them with you. Okay? So we'll take it on from there. Yeah.
As it is today, my advice is that the parties come together and work for the people. You could see today there's a gradual erosion of the tenets of democracy. Our political compass is heading in the wrong direction. So there's a need for the parties to come together to be able to rescue the situation as it is today.
Okay, sir. So the final question, sir. So what advice do you have for Nigerians, especially the electorate?
Well, for Nigerians, well, which is for all of us, we need to take issue of governance very serious. We need to ensure that only those who are competent, who have the capacity, who have the integrity to be able to serve faithfully and use the resources of the nation effectively for production are allowed into office and supported. And we should resist where things are going wrong. This question, which is the issue of the parties coming together, that is impossible. You're talking about coming together for election purpose. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about coming together for good governance and making sure that the people are well governed, are well served. That's two different things. When it is for election purpose, it is self-benefiting or transactional. But if it is for good governance, we can all come together and work together. And if you look at what President Obasanjo is talking about, I don't think he's talking against saying that democracy is not what we should adopt. No, he's talking about the applicability. Democracy as it's being practiced in the Western world does not have universal acceptability and applicability. You have to look at what suits you. For example, if you look at democracy in America, where we even copy this presidential system of government, there's so many things that we've abandoned. If you today you're president of America, you can't just, I've never heard in America that they bought vehicles for legislators. You can't just buy cars anyhow. I have never heard you can't buy cars for first lady anyhow. There's no, in fact in America there's no office called Office of First Lady. It exists in name. And for the purpose of accompanying the president to trips. Not just to have an office created with enormous budgets that are even beyond critical areas of development. No. You cannot entertain people. In America, if the president chooses today to entertain guests, he will pay for the food. If he chooses to have different dishes, he will pay for it. So he can decide how my wife is going to have we're going to have this type of fish from Japan. At the end of the month, he has to pay for it. So these things don't happen. You don't have renovations of different houses for the president. If the president of America goes to New York today, he stays in hotel. I've accompanied the president to trip in the past. The hotel the president of America was staying in a hotel. So these are issues. So we must look at what suits us. Again, look at how we can manage our own expense and everything. So what Obasanjo is saying that we must not adopt this and even adopt it wrongly as we are doing it today. The last one was an issue of
moving towards one party.
How can we salvage that?
That is a disaster. And it can be salvaged again by the same everybody coming together. Not just now political parties, but civil society. The people must resist that because it's dangerous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, His Excellency, sir, you are the campaigner of a new Nigeria. Recently, you described the former president, Atiku Abubakar, as your leader. If, for example, in 2027, and you are given the opportunity to become his vice, will you do that? Then secondly, sir.
My dear, let's not talk about the election. We have a critical problem happening now. See, this is what I'm saying. We should all come together. Even you as a journalist should look beyond the election. People are dying of hunger. And we're talking about the election. What happens in the next election? I've said this publicly. Peter Obi is not desperate to be Nigerian president and desperate to see Nigeria work. Your children are suffering. So don't ask me that type of question, please. I'm begging you. Let's talk about how to save the country. If the country is working, I mustn't be president. Let the country work for our future. Okay, I want the children of here to be looked after.
Okay, the next one is you said.
So that's that part. I kind of have been one of those who first told you that normally in Nigeria, the criminals, politicians, after one election, they start planning for the next election. They don't care about the people or how to govern and all of that. No. Every day of their action is being geared towards the next election. They don't care about you. And you can tell that the society itself seems, the supposed the fourth arm of the realm, the fourth realm of whatever, the media, who are supposed to now actually take off the gown of electioneering that is never going away in Nigeria, politics, and ask critical questions even from those who have rigged themselves in. But no. I like the way he actually answered that. Listen, you care about next election. I wish you could tell them that how are you sure that what is going to happen to Nigeria, you're going to survive till the next 4 years? How are you sure? Because things are going to get so bad. It is not because people want things to get bad. It is because the actions of these people, their failure and continued plundering of your common money, common wealthy, for personal aggrandizement, as they call it, or for their own personal satisfaction, and critical sector of your economy, your everyday life, are lacking the real investment. One by one, una go dey fall down. So there is no magic. You cannot create, what do you call it? You cannot create a better place, a better working country by just imagining it or by just praying for it. Even if you're a very good prayer warrior, it's great to be prayerful. But there are still things to be done rightly so that your prayer can push everything to work fine. But when you are watching them wasting everything they are wasting them, plundering them, stealing them, and you are seeing the effect of all the looting, stealing. You are seeing the effect on yourself, on your finances, on your family, on your businesses. And somebody is going to be asking you about next election and who is going to be president and who is not going to be president. That's the first part too. There is another one.
Good governance of Nigeria, particularly the last election. We watched the exercise. We know that a lot of Nigerians supported you and they voted for you. But at the end, in this kind of scenario, how do Nigerians...
They continue to voice it out and say, this is not what we expected. It has to be consistent. And I'm not saying they should go and start destroying things. We must remain civil and within the law, but consistently say no to bad governance.
Your Excellency, good evening. Abayo Makibola is my name. I report for Wazobia, Nigerian Post.
Thank you.
Let's go back to IPAC. Will you say IPAC, as the umbrella body of all political parties in Nigeria, has lived up to its expectation? If no, what would be your recommendation? How do you think IPAC can get it better for us to have the democracy we are all aiming for?
IPAC should go beyond being transactional and be effective in collectively opposing bad governance. That is their role. That is why they were formed, to say no when things are going wrong. And everybody can see today that things are going wrong in our country. It doesn't need to be told. We now have a situation where non-party carrying members are being appointed to be a referee in our coming elections. IPAC, civil society, and the people need to resist that. These are people, even some of them who have been part of Togri and are becoming the referees. IPAC should voice out where 90% of our election now ends up in court. They should voice out where our courts have become courts of favors, courts of procurement, rather than courts of justice and the law. They should voice out where a position where you have 3 recent judgments that are contradictory. Look at what has happened in Kano, Zamfara, and Plateau. All geared through opposition parties. I don't need to be a member of those parties to say that things are wrong. They are wrong. They are not good for democracy. My party is not in any of them. But it shouldn't be. Look at the elections that happened recently. In Kogi and everything, nobody's talking about the people who were killed, people who were men, and everything. Everybody is saying congratulations to something you know that was wrong. That's where IPAC, civil society, and everybody should voice out. It's not about who it benefits today or tomorrow. I've said it before. Nobody is buying fuel cheaper. Nobody is buying food cheaper. If anybody knows where it's cheaper, for it, one party or the other, show me so we can go there and buy.
Your Excellency, good evening. My name is Mariam Sakari. I work for Liberty TV. I want to ask, perhaps it is time for restructuring. Nigerians have been talking about restructuring for a while now, and looking at everything that is happening, do you think that perhaps this is the time, to begin to go beyond talking about restructuring and actually coming together to hold a kind of maybe confab or conference?
I said it in my last conference that we need it immediately because we need to talk. We need to show, like I said at the beginning of this conference, that where our compass is headed in the wrong direction. And if we don't do anything, it will consume everybody, and like it consumes everybody. Some people will think today they are benefiting or because it's this. No. In a situation where you have a looming crisis and we're playing about it, we've been warned of we're going to face hunger next year. We're using almost 100% of our revenue to service debts, and nobody can say how we pile the debts, what we use it for. In a place where, instead of putting our money, we've now been told we are bankrupt. Instead of now behaving like people who are bankrupt, we are still behaving like people who are still affluent. Because bankrupt people should be now be downsizing all expenditures that is not critical for development. But we are still going ahead, living a life that is beyond our resources, even when borrowing to continue such life. So there are things we need to do. All these things are things we need to look at. It's time to look at whether this presidential system suits us, or whether we can change and go back to parliamentary system. Because we cannot have a situation, and that's what Obasanjo is saying. Let's have something that can suit us, whether it's parliamentary or presidential. It is time that we elect people who must be answerable to us. We can no longer continue to have an elected people who answer us through third parties or source comments to us and everything. It cannot continue. We need to do things differently. So I think restructuring, one, will help the various segments to develop simultaneously. And you will see it happen.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Mr. Julius.
Or everybody will be consumed. Do I need to add more, or I should just kind of add tashere, like small to all the points is sort of raised? One of the things that got myself a little bit relaxed around you, the obedient, was when the Yoruba leaders met with this guy, and he was asked the same question of what he would do in the area of restructuring. He didn't formulate anything other than the people would have to have that conversation to decide how, if they still want to be part of Nigeria, how they want to be governed under what arrangement? He said that. And I was like, I know he won't be able to do that anyway, but he seems to have clarity too. And that's exactly the question they asked him there. And he said, let's be honest with ourselves. Unfortunately, his mentor, Obasanjo, had the opportunity twice to do exactly what, at least I believe, Obasanjo and some others are now asking Tinubu to do. Even though Tinubu and his own roguish APC, at a point, they too had to pretend like Nigeria needed restructuring. You remember 2019 elections? And they used El Rufaya of Kaduna Littlefinger, as the APC Special Committee on Restructuring. Even though they asked Buhari and he was like, what is restructuring? And they asked a shitty man, he said, restructuring my put. But APC, Egbe also tried the flag too. So what they're asking Tinubu to do, and what Tinubu also was asking others to do at the time, Obasanjo had the chance, golden chance. Maybe, I'm not saying Nigeria go down better. Maybe we won't hate ourselves this much. Because if Obasanjo had followed the 2005 National Confab and the recommendations, by now, you see the Sharia North, they would have probably, by now, they would have joined their brothers and sisters in Chad, Niger, and all those places. Because it would have been very clear that all of you, we won't go there. It's like going to Sudan or going to Iran or going to Afghanistan. It's your choice. Because by the agreement, they are part of Nigeria, but don't cross the border anyhow. North Korea, Lobosio. And they too, once they cross their border to any other part of Nigeria, they must not bring their Sharia or bring their nonsense. You get now jihadism and all of that. One lokuni. I mean, it's just going to be like a suicide mission, because everyone would have protected and been allowed to go to apart from governing themselves, everyone would have been allowed to protect themselves. All these states you are hearing today, some of them would have been gone, because they actually recommended that states should be scrapped and we should go back to regionalism. Go and read the 2004, 2005 rather confab and the recommendations. But Obasanjo didn't do that. He wanted his third term. And at some point, they will go back inside and they will say, we want to do police reform. When you look at the police reform they want to do, and you go and read part of all those confab reports, you will see all the recommendation made, but they will twist it. Security settings that people suggested for Nigeria would have prevented all these jihadists that are crossing all over Nigeria. Courtesy of APC, they would have been prevented. The audacity of this Fulani terrorist called, what do they call them again? Miyetiala. They would never have existed beyond the borders of the Sharia, not the 7th state of Sharia in northern Nigeria, if they would never exist at all. But Obasanjo didn't do that. He buried it and then punished the rest of Nigeria with a sick man, a terminally sick president. Rigged him in, and when that one came in, he said his election was the worst election ever. But he would do his best to correct that by doing electoral reform. He never lived to actually do that. That was the beginning of a degeneration to what you have today. And on and on and on like that. So Obi is, cannot be blamed in any way. Let me be honest with you. If he's sounding like all of us, the way we are sounding, You can forgive him because, I mean, he never had a chance to actually prove everything he's been saying. It is the same thing like when people say, "Shey, if it is Obi, wetin he go do?" You cannot say that anymore. Shey, you understand? Now, people where they support Obi, now them go they beat their chest. Obi can never do that. And you have no right to doubt them. You cannot say because Tinubu and his thieving criminals are dipping you into more poverty, hardship, then your excuse is that waiting Obi, what would Obi have done? What can he do? Some of you are also trying, in order to cushion your frustration and disappointment, some of you are trying to say, Obi also said he's going to remove subsidy. This one also said he's going to do that, because you are so dishonest and irresponsible to take responsibility for your actions. Whether he said he was going to remove it by half, or he's going to remove it by full, or he's not going to remove it at all. You see, all of that now, you can no longer use them as excuse. You have to face Tinubu, who is now acting, doing the things he said he would do. And those things are now affecting you. You cannot say in that your painment, in that your painful state, where you are trying to, what's it they call that thing again? Trying to manage your pain. You know, when people are kind of so pained, they will tell you that, number one, why are you laughing at them? So, you know, when you are laughing at them, like, the rest of that, they say, you know, when you start laughing and laughing like that, because they are so pained, they will say, continue crying now. You know, you are laughing at them like, oh my show. First, they want you to feel pity for them by saying that, I mean, it's my choice. I didn't know that they would do all of this. I didn't know that I trusted them. So why are you laughing? Why are you mocking us? Are we not all suffering it? Share you to not suffering. So why are you laughing? Are you continuing to laugh? You know why you are laughing? It's because, number one, you knew what they would do. Somehow, mentally, you are not expecting anything from them. As sad as that sounds, as much as you know that you are also going to lose a lot in this rigged economy, but mentally, you have told yourselves that they will fail you because of that is their real mission. So when they start doing them, and even though you are also affected, but you are not really disappointed. Sure, you get? You are not really disappointed. If they say they stole 1 trillion tomorrow, you know they will steal it and nothing will happen. So if somebody now comes and say, instead of them using that 1 trillion to do electricity, if they use that 1 trillion to help the poor people, and that person who is complaining is one of those people who told you that Peter Obi, Showore, and others, so they will never be president in Nigeria. They should go and be president in Anambra, or go and be president of Ondo. That's what they do tell people. The people who are telling you that, they are now complaining that, this is all these people. I thought it's going to be different. They want to use they use 44 and 40 million naira to buy car. Did they know did they not have car before? Did they know how many people that cannot feed their family? And they are using 2 billion naira to buy fan. The person who is lamenting, and you know that's what they normally do. They will have no money for education, no money for healthcare, no money for critical sector of the economy that can actually create jobs where people can live normal life. You know them. And you did your best to stop and say, reject them, reject them. If they should rig, everybody should go out and fight them. But this one's told you, you will cry. You will cry or you will kill yourself. So which means in your mind, mentally, you know what will happen. So you are not expecting anything. So when they begin to lament, and then you are like, your lamentation just started. Now just 6 months. To make themselves feel good. They are not good. They are bleeding inside. So you get, there's like sweating inside their bellies. But shame will not let many of them express their disgust and disappointment because they expect so much. The fools expect so much from the looters. So you can't they start to talk. You can't they sound like you are mocking them. You are laughing. So they will, to make themselves feel better, they will say, continue crying. Continue crying. I need your tears. I need your tears. I know what they are not waiting for your tears. See, this is them managing their frustration. You get that? So everyone is affected. And in this case, the moment you realize that you can begin to walk like Kalu, not just dress like him. By the time the result of their shege hook you, if you manage to still be alive, nobody will beg you to seek freedom. Because let me tell you something. I think I've shared that earlier, Abi. Buhari, that they said bankrupted Nigeria. Nigeria that is bankrupt. The leaders and the criminals there, they are living large. Sure you get. The state governors and the rest of their lackeys, they are living so large. That is a country that is bankrupt too. The poor continue, the number of poor people continue to rise and rise and rise. Businesses are packing up from Nigeria. Listen to me. The Buhari that kickstarted all of this, in a space of 6 months, those who are under Kalu, the Jaga bandit, the Jaga addict, Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin olè, Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin àtọ̀ọ́lé, the criminal that kickstarted this. For those of you who have spent 6 months, you are beginning to feel like, if like say Buhari is better, so Buhari can't go do interview. The demented, lifeless God, Muhammadu Buhari, is giving himself a great score. I mean, the madman said, in his 8 years of being in Nigeria, he improved despite the insecurity. He improved the economy. He created so many jobs. And today, a lot of you are happy for it. But you see, maybe today they don't live in the alternative world. Unfortunately, it is a scripted, it's a scripted interview. But I want to share some of the stuff with you, starting with when how he feels about how he destroyed Nigeria. Here is what Muhammadu Buhari said. Let's start with this.
I don't know. People have their opinions. But I thank God. God gave me the opportunity to serve my people and the country. And I did my best. Whether my best is good enough is up to people to judge.
For 3 times, you strived, to get into this office. And 3 times, for some reason, you didn't get in. And by stroke of luck or destiny, you came in during the 2015 elections. Of course, for somebody to try 3 times, there's something you set out to achieve. Would you say you achieved it in these 8 years that you were in office?
Well, not quite, but I would like Nigerians to reflect. What was the condition in the country before we came in? Especially in the Northeast. Most of the Northeast in the hands of what they call Boko Haram, whatever it means to whoever wants to interpret it the way they wanted to interpret it. and the economy, so security, economy, and then fighting corruption. This was the objective I set myself and the government I led. And I hope Nigerians have been following it and saw the difference. I know the government I led was lucky, and the country was lucky to get the governor. The governor of, still the governor of Borno State, are very intellectually sound. He is young. He is virtually incorruptible. Because it was fantastic. I think here I have to mention something to share with Nigerians. What happened. The civil servants, the old civil servants, they have got a way of trying to get information, not through the...
Sorry, the signal don't go off at that point. You know he has dementia. Even though Shore continued to say, don't say that, Mayegun. I know the guy knows what he's doing. He's a sadist. A narcissistic sociopath. If he wants to act like he's a dumb, he knows. You see, he was talking.